All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're becoming scientific detectives to solve a really cool mystery. We're going to figure out how you can make secret messages appear out of thin air using just simple stuff you have at home. And along the way, we'll uncover the secrets of acids and bases. So, grab your magnifying glass. The investigation starts now.
So picture this. You're at a science fair. Someone hands you what looks like a totally blank piece of paper. Then they spray it with some liquid, and suddenly words appear. Welcome to the wonderful world of science. It happened to these two kids, Ashwin and Kirthi, and you're probably thinking the same thing they were. How in the world did that happen? Is it magic? Nope, it's pure science. And to crack this case, we need to start gathering some clues.
Okay, so our first step in this investigation is to get to know our main suspects, acids and bases. These two groups of chemicals are, well, they're everywhere. They're in the food we eat, the cleaners we use, literally all around us. So what's the difference between them? Well, acids, like what you find in lemons, usually taste sour. And bases, think of baking soda, tend to be bitter and feel kind of slippery or soapy. But, and this is a big but, tasting and touching unknown chemicals is a really, really bad idea. So please don't do that. That's why scientists have a much safer way to tell them apart, using an indicator. A classic one is litmus paper. And here's the rule you need to remember. Acids turn blue litmus paper red. Bases turn red litmus paper blue. That's a huge clue for our case.
And we can see this test work with stuff from right in our own homes. Just look at these results. Lemon juice turns blue litmus red. So does vinegar. That confirms they're acidic. Soap solution, on the other hand, turns red litmus blue, which tells us it's basic. And what about plain old tap water? Nothing. No change at all. That means it's not an acid or a base. It's what we call neutral.
So this litmus paper we're talking about, it's what's called an acid-base indicator. All that means is that it's a substance that changes color to tell you if something's acidic or basic. It's like a tiny chemical traffic light. And what's really cool is that litmus itself is totally natural. It's a dye that comes from lichens, you know, those crusty-looking things you see growing on rocks and trees. Yeah, from that.
And here's the best part. You don't need some fancy high-tech lab to play detective. Nope. Your kitchen is packed with things you can use as indicators. Let's check out how you can whip up your very own.
You can actually make a beautiful indicator just from red rose petals. It's so easy. You just crush up some petals, let them sit in some hot water for a few minutes, and then strain out the solids. That colored water you're left with, that's your indicator. If you add an acid to it, it'll turn reddish. Add a base, like a soap solution, and it'll turn green. Pretty cool, huh?
Okay, now here's another one. And pay close attention, because this is a major clue for our invisible ink mystery. You can make an indicator from turmeric. Yep, that yellow spice in your kitchen cabinet. Just mix up a paste, spread it on some paper, let it dry, and then cut it into strips. And just like that, you've got turmeric paper. It'll stay yellow if you put it in something acidic or neutral, but just wait till you see what happens when it meets a base.
This is a total aha moment. Has this ever happened to you? You get a curry stain, which is full of yellow turmeric, on a white shirt. You go to wash it with soap, and the stain turns this reddish-brown color. You think you've made it worse, but you haven't. That's just a chemical reaction happening. Soap is a base, remember? So the big takeaway here is turmeric turns red when it touches a base. Got it? Good. Okay, so we've seen how acids and bases act on their own. But what happens when these two opposites meet? This is the climax of our story. This one reaction is the key to solving not just our ink mystery, but a ton of other everyday problems too.
When you mix an acid and a base together in just the right amounts, they neutralize each other. It's called a neutralization reaction. They basically just cancel each other out. The new solution isn't acidic anymore, and it isn't basic anymore. It's perfectly neutral. It's like a chemical balancing act.
So what happens during that balancing act? Well, the acid and the base don't just vanish. They react and transform into two brand new, totally neutral things, a salt and water. Oh, and this reaction also gives off heat. You can actually feel the container get warm. So, neutralization isn't about destroying something, it's about creating something new.
Now, this one reaction, Neutralization is kind of like a hidden superhero. It's happening all around us all the time, solving problems we might not even be aware of. Let's look at a few real-world cases where this chemistry is the hero of the day.
First up, the dreaded ant bite. Why does it sting so much? Because when an ant bites you, it injects an acid, formic acid, right into your skin. The classic home remedy? Make a little paste with baking soda and water. And why does that work? Because baking soda is a base. It neutralizes the ant's acid, and that's what makes the pain go away. Science to the rescue.
Case number 2 takes us into the garden. Sometimes things like chemical fertilizers can make the soil way too acidic, and plants just can't grow well. So what do farmers and gardeners do? They treat the soil with a base, like lime. This neutralizes that extra acid, bringing the soil back into balance, so the plants can be happy and healthy again.
And our third case is a really important one for the environment. Imagine a factory releases its waste, and that waste is full of acid. If that gets into a river or a lake, it can be deadly for fish and everything else that lives in the water. The solution is neutralization. Before releasing the waste, it can be treated with basic substances. That neutralizes the acid, making the water safe and protecting the whole ecosystem.
Okay, we've gathered all our clues. We know about indicators, especially our star player, turmeric. We know about bases, like simple soap. And we know all about neutralization. It's time. Let's head back to that science fair and crack the case of the invisible ink once and for all.
So here it is, the big reveal. The invisible ink they used to write the secret message? It was just a solution of soap and water, a base. You can't see it when it dries on white paper. And the liquid in the spray bottle? That was a turmeric solution, our trusty indicator. The second that yellow turmeric spray hit the basic soap writing, bam! It reacted and turned red, and the hidden message just appeared, like magic. Except it wasn't magic. It was just awesome, everyday chemistry.
Case closed. From a curry stain to an ant bite to invisible ink, the science of acids and bases is absolutely everywhere. It's not just for labs. It's in your kitchen, in your backyard, and all around you. So, thanks for joining me on this one. Now that you know what to look for, what other everyday mysteries are you going to solve?